Hello, guys. Welcome back to Great Fire Podcast. I'm your host, Trey Bate, a.k.a. Trey Bate Knows Boxing.
And I am Willie Mack.
Guys, we have a very, very special guest for the season finale of Season 3, Josh Clay.
Josh.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up?
How you doing, Josh?
Good, man. Good.
Quick question.
What's up?
What's the difference between tossing and throwing?
So tossing and throwing. So throwing, you're typically going to think more. So you got two people. You got the strength coaches that say throwing is more of like a pass.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got throwing where you typically think overhead. So that's going to be anything like where you're like with my clients, I like to prep them for overhead work by throwing overhead, either at a wall or up towards the ground. It's like a push press. And then it was throwing versus
Tossing.
Tossing. So tossing is more going to be like, I'm thinking long distances. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like a toss, like I like to do so when I trained at UCLA, what we like to do with athletes is especially to work on like that 10-yard acceleration thing.
Absolutely.
So what we'd like to do is we like to toss it. So get a 10-pound ball for men, 6-pound ball for women. So we'd have them toss it and then take that acceleration from the ball and then get into like a 10-yard acceleration. So for me, like I used to use like a tossing as like a compound movement or a power movement to prep them for like something like a push press.
True.
Something like that. Throwing, I honestly don't do too much just because a lot of my clients are more so like that general population.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
deal.
Yeah.
It definitely makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to say 4 words, and you tell me what those words mean to you.
Okay.
All right. First word, fitness.
Fitness. So to me, fitness is being able. All right. Ooh, that's a good one, man. Y'all catch me off the spot. Okay. So to me, fitness is being well-rounded in the 2 energy systems while still being able to be strong and powerful.
Absolutely.
Okay. So aerobic and anaerobic, being well-rounded, be able to perform in both aerobically and anaerobically, while still being able to produce strength and power at the same time. So work capacity plus strength and power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Growth.
If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
I like that.
Nice. Resilience.
Perseverance, being able to overcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, grit. That's immediately what comes to mind. Grit.
Last word, woke.
Woke. There you go, man. Okay.
Now we're talking.
Woke, now we're coming. So woke to me. So I realize my purpose in life is using fitness and my coaching abilities as a platform to help people go to bed excited to wake up.
Absolutely.
So that's what woke is to me, and that's where my business name came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is woke exactly, like as far as like the acronym?
Yeah. So obviously, like woke is woke. The origination of it is obviously. Most people know it as in to be aware of social issues, things like that. To me, so about like 2 months ago, I rented a cabin up in Big Bear by myself. Had a beautiful view, a nice patio and everything. Reason I did that is I'm originally from North Carolina, so it reminded me of home. You know what I mean? So I rented a cabin up in there, and basically I went up there with one purpose, and that was to find my purpose. So I was up till probably like 2 a.m. just writing chicken scratch on different papers. Took all my favorite books up there, and I was getting close to it. I couldn't find it. I woke up the next morning, and I realized like I was so stoked to drink coffee on the patio and watch the sunrise. Yeah, and I'm standing out there, and I'm watching the sun. I was like, man, I was so stoked for this. And that's when I realized it. I was like, the best days in my life are when I go to bed and I'm excited to wake up.
Absolutely.
So that's where it came from is there's nothing better than this feeling of being excited to go to bed. I just want to get this sleep over with so I can wake up.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
That's exactly how I am.
I mean, that's a phenomenal feeling. So to me, that's what woke is. Like my job is to help people use fitness as a platform to get people excited to wake up and attack the day. Not so much every day, because we're going to have our bad days. That's fine. Yeah. But more days than not. Yeah. More days than not.
And you know what's so unique about that story that relates to me was when I was 27 for my birthday, I went up to Big Bear. At the age of 27 was when, I was always I was a boxing trainer. I've been training since I was about 22, 23. Mm-hmm. But that was when I made the decision, or I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 10 years to make this the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy how Big Bear is a significant place for people to, I guess, absorb that environment.
Yeah.
Kind of come up with new thoughts and just
exactly. Well, it's just like for me, man, it was just I kind of fell off the tracks for a little bit. Just professionally wise, I was still making money and I was still giving my clients quality service, but I just have high standards for myself.
Absolutely.
I used to be a master instructor at Equinox Santa Monica. I got to the point where I just felt like I had capped out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wasn't. If I feel like the best person in the room, then I'm the wrong person. Then I'm in the wrong room.
That's amazing.
So like that. For me, I was teaching people. The thing that was challenging me most about Equinox I wasn't learning too much. It was more so passing that knowledge on to other trainers, and I loved that. So that's what really got me back into it.
Yeah.
I ended up getting an opportunity at UCLA Athletic Performance to intern. Thought I wanted to be a college strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
And, I was like, you know what, I'll be okay with making, we won't talk numbers, but I'll be okay with, I can do that. You know what, I'm cool. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
I realized college strength and conditioning wasn't for me, man. And that was, as my client Christine Hassler calls it, she calls it she's a life coach. She calls it an expectation hangover.
Nice.
Expectation hangover, man, because I thought that was, the work I put into that internship, just getting ready. I mean, reading 5 or 6 training books, block periodization, high performance training for sport, rereading those, memorizing them. I made a study guide out of block periodization. You know what I mean? So, I ended up leaving that program early just because I realized it wasn't for me, and that was a hard thing for me, and so that threw me off the loop for about 1.5 years, man. And Big Bear, I was like, you know what? I put my foot down. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I got to figure out why am I waking up each day coaching my clients? Because it's got to be something more than making them healthy. Like, it's got to be something deeper.
Absolutely.
And Big Bear helped that, man. It's amazing.
Guys,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I need to go by myself next one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dude.
You tonight, man.
Yeah. You hop on Airbnb, man. You can find a lot of beautiful places,
You'll
bro.
Be amazed.
Yeah,
You'll be
it's
amazed
amazing.
For a great price.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Do you have any military experience?
No, I don't.
But
no.
You get that a lot, huh?
Huh? Me?
Get that a lot?
I get that or baseball player. Yeah. Baseball.
Absolutely.
Baseball player, which is funny because I played college football and college rugby, but I did play baseball for 15 years. Yeah, but I actually went with football because people told me I couldn't play college football, so I was like, I got you. Yeah. So I was like, I got you.
So let's talk a little bit about your titles. BS, CSCS, PN1.
Yeah. So bachelor's in exercise science. I was fortunate to go to school at Appalachian State, mountains of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. We were one of only 2 schools in the state besides Wake Forest that had a concentration in strength and conditioning.
Nice.
So it was awesome. My advisor, Dr. Triplett, actually wrote the most recent manual of CSCS.
Okay.
So she's one of the names on the front. So that was pretty awesome. So got a bachelor's in exercise science, concentration in strength and conditioning, minor in psychology. And then CSCS is certified strength and conditioning specialist. So that's what your college strength coaches have, your professional strength coaches have. I have never studied harder for a single test in my life than I studied for that thing, man. CSCS. Okay. I mean, that's the bar exam of strength coaches. Yeah, we'll call that the bar exam of strength coaches, man. I 3 months, every single probably 4 or 5 hours a day, just cramming for that thing. So I'm blessed to have it. I think I'm going on like my 3rd year having it. I just renewed it after the 2 years. So it's something I'm proud to be a part of the NSCA, CSCS. And then Precision Nutrition. So that's by Dr. John Berardi, man. So he takes a habit-based approach to nutrition. So for me, that's my preferred approach to nutrition, just because it's longevity. Man, I can give somebody a meal plan, but what do they do in 2 weeks when they're like, yo, I can't eat another piece of broccoli.
That's
like,
true.
I can't do it. You know what I mean?
True.
So for me, I take my approach to coaching, my approach to nutrition, whether it be training or nutrition, is self-sufficiency. So I take an education-based approach that causes action and creates self-sufficiency. So I'm not going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I can't be there to swat food out of their hands. I can't be there to make decisions for them. So for me, they go on vacation for some reason, they move to Mars or something like that. I want them to be able to adapt to their surroundings, be able to make the right decisions, whether it be training, still be accountable. Yeah. They know how to put together a training program. They know how to eat if they go out to eat and they only have this available. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about educating my clients and putting the why behind everything I do.
That's really big because remember, I say that all the time. The why is everything. And that's what a lot of people... Some people are not able to answer.
No, and you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, that's the thing I want to change about the training industry is, unfortunately, the standards for training, I mean, it's low. You know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, you get a trainer, you're probably going to get a bad trainer. You're going to get somebody that doesn't really want...
That's amazing that you say that because, you know, we're in fitness, of course, but we're in 2 different genres. Yeah. That's the same way I feel about boxing. Yeah. Same way I feel about boxing.
It's like we need to change the standards.
They commercialize it to some extent.
They could. Well, you can get a certification in 2 hours, man.
Notice that.
Yeah, you can get a certification.
And that's why the certifications. There's certain certifications that I don't take seriously.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Like ACE. I don't like. I tell people NASM. Yeah, ACSM, NSCA.
Thank you.
Yeah, like NASM, man. I could probably close my eyes and check off boxes, and probably pass that thing.
So it's a money game.
It is. Oh, NASM. No, they got the corrective exercise specialist. This, that. I'm a sports man. Honestly, coaches, not coaches, but clients don't give a damn about the numbers behind your name. They don't care, man. They care, can you give me results? It's kind of like you come out of college. Companies don't give a shit if you went to this school or this school. Like, can you do what you say you're going to do? Can you perform? Yeah. That's all they care. That's all that matters. Yeah, exactly,
that's
man.
Very, very true.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, I'm glad that I'm talking to you because we're the type of people that go beyond, or like as far as research, like we go above and beyond. Like for me, like I don't watch TV at all. I stopped watching TV when I was 23. I mean, we have selective viewing, so we have YouTube, we have. I mean, there's so many different websites where you can actually gain knowledge or whatever you want to ask, you can actually get an answer or at least be able to look for or be able to create a path to find an answer if you think about it that way.
Yeah. Well, and the beautiful thing, man, about like YouTube and stuff like that is I heard this in a podcast the other day. We were talking about how YouTube allows us to watch what we want to watch.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if I'm gonna watch more than 10 seconds of your video, you know what I mean? Because in Instagram you keep scrolling and stuff like that.
Very true.
It's because I'm choosing. Like you've proved the value.
Interested.
It's kind of like exactly. Yeah. Like I choose if I like a song within 5 seconds. I don't got time to sit here and listen to it for 50. Like. Let me hear it. Okay, all right, good. I'm good. Let's go. You drew me in, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's funny because we talked about that too, like Jordan Belfort, you know, the guy from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yep.
He's talking about that, like as far as sales or just in business or even like what we do. He said, like, you know, like when we talk to people or like when we talk to our clients or potential clients, we should know, or they should be interested in us within the first 4 seconds of us actually speaking to them, which is, for me, like I told him, that's powerful as hell. Yeah. Think about how long 4 seconds is.
Dude, that is a long time.
That's a long time.
If you're stuck in an elevator with somebody for 4 seconds, man. You know what I mean? Like, it can get awkward real quick, man. It can get awkward. You wait 4 seconds to talk to that girl, then you already blew your shot, man.
Thank you. So 4 seconds is a very long time. And I was saying, like when he said it, I was thinking about like 4 seconds. I'm like, that's not enough time. Then I thought about it. I could complete maybe 3 sentences, 4 sentences within 4 seconds.
Yep.
You think about that.
Easily.
So that's powerful. That's extremely powerful. And I applied it to everything.
Yeah. To me, I'm from North Carolina, so that handshake, man. Yeah. That handshake. You give me a limp handshake. Oh, man, it's done. It's over. I already know everything I need to know about you.
I'm like that too. If it's not firm, it's firm,
exactly.
Man.
Exactly. Sometimes, you know, you get somebody that shakes your hands with big hands and you don't get a good handshake. I'm like, let me do that again, man.
Let's do that one more time.
I swear, I'm better than that.
Or even like this, that old squeezing on my finger. I hate that. Yep. It's like, I feel kind of puny.
Yep, exactly. You shrink your hands, man.
So let's talk about, of course, let's get a little more detail. Let's talk about core strength. Yeah. For the viewers and of course for me as well.
Yeah, of course.
So of course there's anti-lateral flexion. There's anti-extension. But the one I want to talk about is anti-rotation.
Anti-rotation?
So the reason why I'm so interested in that, you know, I got the whole stick mobility thing I've been playing around with.
Yeah. I see you doing work, man.
So, you know, I've been learning like some things. Like I've always learned, like with the stick mobility thing, like I've been doing a lot of different drills that were specific to anti-rotation. And like I'm actually feeling it more than I ever have before.
Yeah.
So why is anti-rotation so important?
So anti-rotation is just obviously that aspect of resisting rotation. So here's the problem that everybody thinks of the core as aesthetics. They think if you have abs, you got a strong core. Couldn't be further from the truth.
Not true at all.
That's just because you eat well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you eat, not even that you eat well. Hell, you can eat crappy. It's just that you just eat the right amount of food to keep you shredded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like the core's primary function is to resist movement. It's to stabilize the spine.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not to, a lot of people think crunches, things like that. They're thinking the core is used to cause movement or produce power. No, its first and primary function is to resist any excessive movement. You know what I mean? Its second function is to transfer force, whether that's from lower to upper, most commonly side to side, things like that. So that anti-rotational aspect is just that a lot of our movement, twisting, you think things like that, most sports are involved in that transverse plane of movement. So, you know, there's a lot of rotation. So being able to be strong in an anti-rotational aspect with that transverse abdominis, things like that, you know what I mean? That's that ability to also, when you have a strong core, you're also better able to control your body through movement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's about being able to create a strong core that functions the way we need it to during movement.
Yeah.
Not during, like, planks are great and things like that, and those would set the basis for a core strength. But in the end, it's about building a functional core that can prevent any excessive rotation, twisting, flexing, extending, things like that, lateral flexion, things like that, through movement.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you did something the other day, and it was regarding reflective core strength.
Reflexive core strength.
Yeah, reflexive?
Yeah, reflexive.
Reflexive, there we go. I said reflective.
No, you're good, man. So,
Reflexive.
so reflexive core strength is this idea of that our core kicks in when we need it to, not just when we want it to.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I can say, hey, Trey, I'm about to punch you in the gut.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? You're going, okay, I got you, man. Like, you know, hit me as hard as you can.
Uh-huh.
But it's reflexive core strength is this idea that our core is able to kick in. It's able to stabilize our spine. It's able to stabilize everything when it's almost unsuspecting. Okay. So like in a push-up, FMS, we have people start off with the FMS functional movement screen. We have people start off in a push-up. Okay. So what I'm looking for is directly from the floor, can you press up and keep your shoulders, hips, and knees aligned? A lot of time what most people do, because I'm not telling them what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell them so that I want to see what they reflexively do. It's kind of like with a squat. I don't want to tell them what a good squat looks like. Yeah. First, I want to see what their natural squat pattern is.
Absolutely.
So reflex, like in a push-up position, a lot of times people's shoulders will pull up off the ground first. Those hips aren't coming, so obviously what will happen is they'll pull those shoulders up and then their hips will come off the ground. And what that tells me is that their core is reflexively, they have low reflexive core strength. Okay. So for us, it's for any time I'm looking at a client, I'm looking, can their core kick in when we need it to? So it's kind of like if with an athlete, you know what I mean? If they're moving laterally or the defender's coming, you know what I mean? You're not going to tell them, this is a big deal with plyometric and proprioception exercises these days, is we want to see what they reflexively do. So yeah, I can roll a ball towards them and tell them to move left. Okay, they know but is that ever going to happen in a game? Is a defender going to come up to you and be like, hey, go left, I'm about to come? No, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So, you know, whether it be life, whether it be sports, it's all about what are you reflexively able to do? You know what I mean? Not what I tell you to do. That's great, and that builds the basis for all future fitness endeavors, things like that, performance. But what are you reflexively able to do? What's the first thing, proprioceptively? What does your brain tell your muscles, and what is your cognitive functioning able to do?
Mm-hmm. So you would say breathing has a lot to do with that, correct?
Of course. Yeah.
Probably
of course. Yeah. Proper bracing, things like that. I mean, like you get a heavy squat, you get, 315 pounds on your back, or you get 80% of your 1 rep max, something like that, something real heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's definitely, definitely. You want to make sure that you're creating that proper tension in your diaphragm.
Absolutely.
You're bracing before you go down.
Yeah.
So a lot, that's a big thing. If we brace, then we fire our core. There's obviously a million different, there's a ton of different protocols we can do to teach different people how to create tension in their diaphragm, but that's definitely what it comes down to, is that breathing, proper breathing. A lot of people breathe too much through their scalenes, things like that. They breathe everything up here. So if I get somebody in like a crocodile breathing where they're lying face down with their hands underneath their forehead, I tell them just to breathe. A lot of times what I'll see that chest come up. Okay. So what I got to do is we got to get them to breathe through their diaphragm, thinking of filling in that diaphragm down here, front to back. Okay. So think about driving their lower back towards the ceiling, driving that belly button into the ground and filling that diaphragm up versus breathing through up here.
That makes a lot of sense. It definitely does, especially the way that you describe it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So let's talk about flexibility versus mobility. The reason why I want to talk about this is because there's a lot of people who get it confused. Yeah. They don't know the difference. They actually see it as one and the same. So what is the difference between mobility and flexibility? Let's start with mobility. What are the functions?
So mobility is, that's what we're really after. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Flexibility, that sets the basis, but mobility is what we're really after. And mobility is our unassisted range of motion about a joint. So when I say that, if I were to, how high, if I get you supine, if I get you on your back, you know what I mean, and you keep both your legs extended, if I tell you to keep both your legs extended and draw your right foot towards the ceiling, how high can you get that right foot to the ceiling without me pushing it there? Okay, so that's what matters, unassisted. I'm not going to be sitting here helping you push your foot, you know what I mean, up to the sky.
Yeah.
Unassisted, what is your range of motion about a joint? Whether that's your shoulder, you know what I mean? Whether that's your shoulder, whether that's through your hips, things like that. Ankle mobility is a huge thing. Big toe mobility is a huge thing. A lot of things happen at if we have a lack of big toe mobility, that's going to affect everything up the kinetic chain, posterior chain, things like that. So,
big time.
Yeah. So,
big toe.
Yeah.
Big toe will.
Yeah. And then it always blows. It's always something small, man. It's always something small. The body's this amazing, amazing thing, man. It's just everything's interlinked. But, and then flexibility. So flexibility is obviously, that's what most people think of. That's what a lot of people don't even know, what really, like you said, what mobility actually is.
Absolutely.
So flexibility is the range of motion that you're able to get to assisted. So if I take your foot myself and put it there, okay, you'll be able to reach a certain range of motion.
Absolutely.
But when I take that hand away, you know what I mean? When I take that hand away, most people are going to return to that original range of motion because you're always going to have more flexibility generally than mobility. Okay, so and then another thing I actually want to talk about was, you have flexibility, you have mobility, you have also hypermobility. Okay, so I've trained a lot of dancers since I became a coach, and they are very hypermobile. So hypermobile is obviously there's a certain amount of tension you want about a joint. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if I'm doing a vertical jump or something like that, tension's gonna help me. You know what I mean? Like if I get a spring and I press a spring down that's stretched out too much, when I press it down, it's probably not going to fly too far. You know what I mean? But if I get some brand new spring, I press that thing down, that thing's going to go flying. So a lot of people, like these dancers and things like that, get very hypermobile. Okay, so that's when we have excessive range of motion about a joint. And with those people, you actually don't want to do any flexibility at all. For them, it's just about strengthening them in those ranges of motion. You know what I mean? For them, it's all about strengthening the muscles surrounding that joint. So we actually almost want to, I don't like saying this, but you almost want to increase the tension about that joint just because they are so hypermobile. And what that tells me is when they are hypermobile, they're also very unstable in those joints. So dancing, man, I've probably trained 5 or 6 dancers.
Do you dance?
Do I not? No, I have 2 left. I have 2 left feet. I have 2 left feet, man.
No feet.
I have 2 left feet, man. I'll do a little jig, something like that. I always think if I watch You Got Served, it always inspires me.
Hey,
I look in the mirror. And I'm like, all right, you don't got this. You don't got this.
I want to save the last dance last night.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Hey, you seen those victory insoles?
The victory,
insoles.
The victory.
Is that real? Is that possible?
I haven't. I don't know too much about it, to be honest. Like for me, when it comes to the soles or shoes, man, those really are ruining people's feet. Especially the reason being is because so many people are. So the reason we have thick soles is for running. You know what I mean? So we have these thick soles for running to decrease joint impact. Now, the problem is most people's running gait is very faulty. So a lot of people, when they run, they're running And when they land, that heel is landing in front of their hip. Okay, so what's happening is it's throwing all the joints, the ankle, then the knee, and the hip. It's where it's changing the way that femur sits inside that joint, inside that acetabulum. So then it's rendering that thick sole virtually useless, because a thick sole is useless if our joints aren't stacked. You know what I mean? So that's where this thick sole came from. And then obviously that barefoot running book came about probably 8 years, and everybody started barefoot running.
Yeah, I have a couple of pair of Altos.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens is we put a Band-Aid over it, but if we want to actually get people's gait right, we want to fix their feet, first you got to fix how they run. You got to get them landing with that heel directly underneath that hip, okay? Because what happens when you land with that heel in front of that hip, you also have to, that actually decelerates you to a greater degree, and it also increases that ground contact time. And one of the main depictors of how fast you're able to run, how fast you're able to sprint, is ground contact time. So when it comes to that, I try and, like, when I'm working out, I also, when you are working out, a lot of people, especially when they're lifting heavy, you got to think, if you have these thick-soled foam, you have this thick-soled shoes in the bottom, all that force, instead of going into the ground, is going in, is being absorbed and going into the universe, you know what I mean, by this sole. So I have all my clients, when they start training with me, if you'll notice, every single one of my clients either has New Balance Minimus or Nike Metcon. So just a thinner soled shoe allows them to actually feel the ground, you know what I mean? Feel the ground, not only be able to produce force, but also it increases the proprioception, dude, because the amount of proprioceptors in our feet, I mean, it really is. It's amazing. I mean, our feet are the first thing in contact with the ground in virtually every single movement. So that sets the basis for everything. So a lot of times it's kind of like, you know, our big toe, if we have a lack of big toe mobility, it screws everything up. You know what I mean? So you could have hip pain simply because you got a lack of hip toe mobility. So the body's just this amazingly wonderful linked unit, but it's also, you know, a son of a bitch, man.
How important is it to get foot massages in? If that's, you know what I'm saying?
You know, from a masculine standpoint, I love a good foot massage. I love a good foot massage. So here's the thing, like a lot of research is coming out that foam rolling is more perceived, is when it comes to recovery, it's self-perceived more than it actually works. So when I say that, is people, when they foam roll, mentally, cognitively, they're like, oh man, I feel so much better. I'm able to move. But as far as like pushing out lactate and things like that and breaking up fascia, it actually does very little. So for me, all my clients, they foam roll a max of 5 minutes. The problem is people want to, when they go into, they feel real tense or something like that. They want to go and hump a foam roller for 20 minutes, you know, make sweet love to that thing. You know what I mean? And I always say, I see the weirdest things, you know what I mean? I tell my clients, you pick 1 to 2 muscles in the lower, you do it for 30 seconds each side, always do your T-spine to get the tension out of your T-spine. You pick 1 to 2 in the upper, and those muscles the muscles that you use should always reflect your primary movement for the day. You know what I mean? So if I got a client who we're doing squats and they got a hard time getting into position, I'll have them roll out their psoas. You know what I mean? Things like that may prevent us from getting into a proper squat position. But it's 5 minutes. You know, and the problem isn't that they need to roll more. The problem is they need to freaking move more, and they just need to move properly. You know what I mean? So, when it comes to like massages and things like that, I'm a big fan of them. I just think people waste a lot of money on getting that stuff. You know what I mean? Like for me, also, it's hard for me to find a lot of trainers will, I'm not a big fan of trainers touching their clients. Reason being is a lot of them that's outside of your scope of profession.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So I always, when I was at Equinox, I used to tell, the trainers that I would teach all the time, like, hey, guys, it's outside of your profession. You know, refer outside.
How many certifications actually bring that up? Think about it. You can't think about it off the top of your head.
That's actually, I mean, especially with the, like the Theragun is blown up and the Hypervolt and things like that. Like people are all about that. And so I see trainers like spending $400 or $500, $600 on that thing. But the problem is a lot of trainers don't even know simple human anatomy. You know what I mean? They don't even know where the QL is or the psoas. They don't know where it originates or where it inserts and things like that. So they really don't even know what they're doing. And a lot of times, though people, I'll see trainers getting an elbow inside the IT band. Dude, they did a research study a long time ago, and I think maybe it was 10,000 pound weight or 1,000 pound weight. Basically, they took a cadaver, hung like a 1,000 or 10,000 pound weight from the IT band. It didn't break. So if you think your elbow is going to do anything to that freaking IT band, you got another thing coming. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you're the Hulk. I don't know if you're Superman. Like, I don't know if I'd let Superman give me a deep tissue massage. That might hurt. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of times, like, people associate, especially when they're foam rolling, pain with, it's kind of like flexibility. People associate pain with, oh man, if your leg is shaking, that's your body signaling, that's your body's alarm system saying, hey, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
This is too much. You're shaking. That's your CNS. That's your brain telling your muscles, trying to resort back to that original. Relax. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be a little, it's not going to feel great, but that leg should not be shaking. It should be a position you're able to hold for at least a minute. You know what I mean? At least in 1 to 3 minutes. Like, I don't know if you ever done ROMWOD before, but that's commonly used in CrossFit and is a great 20 to 25 minute flexibility routine every day. They're holding those poses for 1 to 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So if you got this band, your legs shaking this, you got convulsion for 3 minutes. A lot of people associate pain with progress. Yeah. It's like that no pain, no gain kind of thing.
That's so unique because you don't hear that many people actually talk about that. And it's funny how many things we have in common as far as, the way that we practice, what we do. Mm-hmm. And that's something that it's so weird. Like out of all the certifications that I've done or that I have, USA Boxing was the only one that actually went into detail about stretching, about the positions that you're in.
Yeah.
Sometimes standing behind women, no matter how it might be, that person may be okay with it, but there might be somebody looking that's not okay with that.
Well, that's why, like, especially whenever I do assessments. Yeah. So whenever I'm doing flexibility assessments or things like that, maybe like an Eli's test or a Thomas test or something like that, you always ask him, is it all right if I touch you?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Is it all right if I touch you? I'm not just going to go and, I'm not just going to go and throw my fingers in there. That might not get a great response. You know what I mean? Nobody likes that. You better get your hands off my insides.
That's deep, man.
So the conversation is going to take a little twist. We talked about growth. We talked about perseverance. Let me ask you a question. What if she did it for nothing?
Did coaching for nothing?
No.
What do you mean?
There was a post that you put up
for my mom.
For your mom.
Yeah, my mom.
And it was almost like when I read it, it was great. Yeah. For me, it was almost like you're writing a letter to yourself in a sense. So
I used to not admit this, but I would say, I'm a Southern kid. I'm a mama's boy.
Absolutely.
I love my mother. So I was actually born in Reno, Nevada. So I lived there till I was 6 years old. Yeah. I was born in Reno, lived there till I was 6 years old. My real father left when I was 3 months old. Okay. So it was just my mom and I. She was 21, had me when I was 21. I wasn't a planned baby. So we were living it was the ghetto of Reno. You know what I mean? There saw a lot of things. I remember we went out to, I don't know if you guys ever been to Goodwill or anything like that, and they got these like $1, $2, $3 bags of toys. Yeah. We did not have money. You know what I mean? My mom had a job that fortunately allowed her to bring me in. Mm-hmm. So we were just getting by. But when we would go to Goodwill, oh my God, if I could get one of those like $2 or $3 bags of toys, man, I'd be stoked. Yeah. It wasn't hard. We had somebody, these two guys had the hell beat out of them, broke into our apartment. Mom shoved me. I remember being shoved in the closet, and all I hear is screaming and things like that. And so I saw a lot of things I shouldn't see. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think probably the hardest thing that's still embedded in my brain is my mom had a boyfriend. Guy's name was Tommy. Still remember him. Still remember his face. And
is he still around?
No. I hope not. You know what I mean? I hope not. He's not a good person. He's definitely not a good person. But I heard screaming and obviously went out, and I saw my mom getting thrown around like a rag doll. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I still have with me.
Yeah.
But that woman, man, dude, she's a fighter.
Yeah.
Like she does, like, you don't F with my mom, man. Like I remember somebody almost backed up into me, and my mom, boom, on the back of their car, like, you almost hit my child, blah, blah, blah. Well, she eventually met my dad, who took me in as his own. I don't know how, like any man that can make another kid his own. I mean, that speaks volumes to the character. But they ended up moving us to North Carolina. My dad was a race car driver.
Nice.
So we moved there. We looked from Race City, USA. We moved to Race City, USA. Dad was winning a lot of the all-star races in California, so we moved to North Carolina.
Nice.
And somebody sped through the neighborhood, man. My mom chased this guy down, dude. At this point, I'm probably like 9 or 10 years old. I'm like, Mom, please don't. She gets out, slammed. My kid, there's kids. He's got friends, blah, blah. What are you doing? This guy's cussing her out. I'm thinking, this guy has my mom's about to kill this guy. My mom's about to kill this guy. Like, yeah. So, man, for that phrase, like, what if it wasn't worth it for me?
Yeah.
That woman sacrificed so much to me. I had a great upbringing, man. Besides those first 6 years, and it was just her and I. Dude, I played. I had cool cleats. My parents. Neither of my parents went to college. I was the only person in my family to graduate college. So that was a big deal. But growing up, man, like, my mom didn't go to college, but worked her ass off. She was an accountant. My dad was a mechanic. Both of them still are. Mom has her own business and just, like, really just built something out of nothing. And just what they did. The sacrifice. I mean, I had cool cleats, man. I played baseball, played soccer. My parents, I'd go from baseball practice to football practice to another baseball practice, because sometimes we'd be playing on 2 baseball teams.
That's nice.
You know what I mean? Like, I go into college, my parents helped pay for a little bit of my college. You know what I mean? So, I remember when I got in a bind one time, they helped get me out money wise, things like that. Like, there's the things they've been able to do. So for me, my biggest fear is that everything she went through and everything my parents went through, that it would be for nothing. I just waste my life, and I wouldn't have, and I wouldn't bring any value into the world. So that's my biggest fear, and that's honestly
pretty much the thing that drives you.
That's what drives me, and it's funny. It's funny in that it drives me, but also I'm one of those people where I think I took one of those personality tests. It said my best trait is I'm never satisfied. My worst trait is I'm never satisfied.
When were you born?
December 5th, 1989.
December 5th?
Yeah.
What is that?
Sagittarius?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sagittarius.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where, like, man, if I'm not doing something, putting value into the world, doing something with my life, I'm a team person. I've always played team sports. I tried doing track and field in high school. It didn't work. I've always done better when somebody else, when my results are dependent upon somebody else also as well. You know what I mean? Like, I love somebody else counting on me, because then I can't let them down. Like, I can't let them down. You know what I mean? Like, so I just, like, track and field wasn't for me. So for me, that's why I love coaching. I can't let my clients down.
So boxing wouldn't have been good for you either.
No, probably. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, it probably. I mean, if I had a coach, I also have my WBFF pro card as a fitness model.
Nice.
I've always hired a coach because I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So, not so much, I mean, to guide me, obviously, but because I know when I used to compete, I no longer do that now. I train competitors on the side as well. Yeah. When I went on stage, I was also reflecting them. I was reflecting the plan that they gave me. I was reflecting whether it worked, things like that. So to me, I wasn't going to let them down. I was going to make them look good.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, things like that.
So let's talk about the longest pull for anxiety and depression.
So that's 30 seconds up, 30 seconds down, pull up. So obviously, I mean, we've all had moments in our life where we're a little depressed. You know what I mean? Like, for me, when I first moved here, I didn't know anybody. I knew one person. Months 3 through 12, man, those were hard for me. You know, another period of my life when I first went to play college football, went 6 hours from home. I went to the school. I was just about to start on special teams. Week out from the first game, I went to the school strictly to play football. Week out from the first game, tore my PCL, was out for the season.
It's crazy. Yeah. You know what's so crazy about that? You remember what I said with Matthew? It seems like it's a lot of us athletes that had a dream of being an athlete. Something happened, and we ended up doing what we do today, which is our actual true following, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many of us are kind of like, I guess I want to use the word refugees, even though it's probably not the best, but like we're refugees of our own sport. Not of our own sport, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
completely.
Yeah, right.
No, but were you going to say something?
No. I was saying I'm still confused.
Nah, so we've all had periods in our life, and just it's like a microwave minute, man.
Yeah.
Like you're waiting for your food. Like when you're depressed, I mean, life these days just drag on. You know what I mean? And before that 2 months, I wouldn't say. I'd say I was down. I wouldn't say I was clinically depressed at all or anything. I'm a pretty upbeat guy. I don't know if you've been able to tell around the gym and everything.
Absolutely.
But for me, like as a coach too, I know that I'm that 1 hour of the day where they finally get a chance to focus on themselves. So no matter what is going on in my life, I got this saying, you can be tired, just don't act tired.
Yeah.
So before they come in, I'm like this, they come in, woo, what's up? Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm providing that atmosphere. I'm providing that experience.
That's very, very true.
But, like kind of before Big Bear, I fell off track. You know what I mean? After UCLA and everything, and Big Bear really got me back on after I really aligned my values, found my values, things like that, wrote those down, made those hard. But the longest pull-up, so my little sister is on the autism spectrum, and then she also suffers from depression. So it's this idea, unfortunately, especially a lot of our elders have this idea that depression is a choice. It's like I wake up and I want to be depressed. Just be happy. There's nothing worse in the world than somebody telling you just to be happy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's like somebody telling somebody that's 300 pounds just be fast. Bro, I wish I could be. Trust me, I wish I could run the 4.5. I'd be knocking Brian Urlacher down. You know what I mean? Things like that. But it's like, so that is to raise awareness for depression, anxiety. Because everybody, I heard an amazing thing the other day from one of the founders of Quest on a podcast.
Quest Bar,
Max,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
On Max Lugavere's, I think it was Max Lugavere's creator, Genius Foods. He wrote Genius Foods, a New York Times bestseller, amazing book. And he said the only thing that matters in life is the thoughts you speak to yourself when you're alone.
Wow. That's very, very true.
That's very true. I remember I turned off the podcast and I was just like, holy crap. You hear something like that, man, that hits you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the world's longest pull-up is 30-second pull-up. So 30 seconds up and then 30 seconds down. You know what I mean? If you can't get all the way up or you can't get all the way down, then you just hang on. So that's just this idea that raising money for anxiety and depression across America. That's just the idea that we're trying to create awareness around something. A lot of people most people I forgot the exact statistic, but most people have some form of anxiety.
Do you think you think that social media and technology?
Dude, with especially, so for me, I had to unfollow a lot of people that I realized, people our age, man, that are 28 or even 21, they're addicted to this. I'm rolling up in a Bentley. I'm buying bottles at the club.
And we talked about the same thing as far as filtering out our social media.
Filtering, it's what you see every day.
You sick.
And that doesn't, and it's so materialistic and it doesn't offer any value.
Anything.
You know what I mean? To me, it'd be awesome to do those things for my friends because I could afford to do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And give them an experiance. But when that becomes the everyday thing, that's when it loses its allure.
Value.
It loses its value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I had to filter out my social media and things like that because that stuff it doesn't motivate me. And I realized I'm not motivated. It never did anything for me. Seeing you roll up in a cool car and check your watch. I don't care to see an Instagram picture of you with your tatted arm and your watch. Like, what does that do? Was some stupid, like you posting a selfie with some stupid quote like "head in the clouds"? Like, you know, that does nothing for me. Like, what?
Challenge.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And
like,
the thing is that you think about the lies behind it. It's 95% of the time it's not real.
no, dude, and
It's completely fake.
I hear
and
all the
people
time.
get emotional about not having what those people have.
Well, dude, I hear about it all the time. You got these people with 800,000 followers who aren't making any money.
Very true.
They're not.
Very,
they're
very
not.
true.
And their self confidence a lot of time is directly attached to the comments and the likes
And the
that they
likes,
get.
yeah.
And dude, I can relate, man. Like I've been through that. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I got my pro card, I was 22 years old. So I was, you know, I'm stupid. You know what? The likes, comments, whoo, you know what I mean? Release them endorphins. Let's go. Dopamine. So much dopamine. You know what I mean? It's rushing me. Let's go. Give me another one. So I'm refreshing. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to put up another picture because I need like 20 likes to get that confidence up.
It's a drug, man.
Yeah, exactly. And when you no longer, your happiness is no longer attached to what the value that you put out into the world.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And when the only value you can put out into the world is a selfie, the same selfie of your abs you posted for the past 365 days with a stupid quote you found online. Like, you know what I mean? That's, yeah.
I mean, so, no, go ahead.
No, I was just always saying, I wonder what would happen if Instagram or social media was shut down. What those what those selfie people would do with their lives. And that's the scary part, because I feel like there's nothing for them to do.
Well, dude, you ever done so for me, I'll always do, probably once every 3 to 6 months, I'll do like a 1 to 2 week social media cleanse.
I remember we just talked about that.
David,
like I said, after we record a couple of episodes or this new season, we're going to take a slight break, about 2 weeks, and then come right back.
Well, dude, it's good. Like, it's kind of like changing the way you learn. You know what I mean? For me, I love reading, man. I love reading. But sometimes I want to listen to podcasts, and that's the way I learn.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I get tired of podcasts. I want to listen to country music. I'm a country music guy. You know what I mean? So I always tell trainers too, you know what I mean? Like, switch. If this year, you know, 1 year I forgot, it was some insane amount of books, probably like 30 or 40 books. Mm-hmm. I burnt myself out. I didn't want to read anymore. So I was like, all right, you know what? Now I'm going to start going to seminars, and seminars is going to be how I learn. Okay, you know what? I burn myself out in seminars. You know what? I'm going to go back to reading, or I'm going to go to podcasts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's nothing like you have the main thing that you learn or you grow from, but there's that, like, even one of the keys to happiness is, for me, like when I would at my old gym, one of the keys to happiness is having something to look forward to. So like a trip to look forward to.
Big time.
Another big thing that people take for granted is if you drive to work, take a different route to work every single day. Take a different route to work. You know what I mean? Because then you have new things. You have new things to look at.
New things.
Yeah, you see new things. You see new people. It's something small to look forward to.
Because there was a guy who was I worked at a gym called the Gym in Hayden in about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
In Culver City, and there was a guy that was just about 53, between 53 and 55, and he said the most important thing for men to do is to change their environment as often as they can. And he said the thing about it is that we absorb. Men are very special. Well, men and women are both special, but he said human beings, like, we are special creatures. Like, we absorb a lot of what we have in our environment. So just like with Big Bear absorbing, you know, what's in that environment, which is a lot cleaner or clearer than what's down here.
Well, dude, and it's amazing. Like for example, for me, so I actually made the big decision. I'm moving in December. So I'm moving at the end of December. I'm traveling the world for a year.
Nice.
So I'm taking my business completely online. You know what I mean? I'm taking my coaching business. Yeah. So I'm taking my coaching business completely online.
That's amazing.
I'm doing 12 cities in 12 months through a company called Remote Year. So for me, it was when, you know, I'm 28 years old. Right now I'm a single guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing good for myself. I realize that online coaching allows me to help more people in areas I wouldn't normally be able to. And also people are being underserviced when it comes to training.
Yeah.
So I realized I can give people a better service online than they can get in most PTs, just because the standard for training is so low.
It's all about effectiveness.
Exactly. So I've been building out that platform, and for me, I'm moving in December. I'm selling my car. You know what I mean? I'm moving out and I'm traveling the world for a year. And for me, it's you know, it's one of the key values of my business is, you know, I have 7 values, and one of the key values of my business is growth. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
I think you're going to come back as Batman.
Yeah, dude, I hope so, man. I told people, man, for me, like the hardest thing was moving away from home when I went to college football.
Yeah.
Play college football. From them, it was moving from North Carolina to LA, and I didn't visit home for a year. You know what I mean? So that was real hard. Now it's going to be going to 12 different cities in 12 months.
That's amazing.
12 different countries, in 12 different countries in 12 months. You know what I mean? So that's going to be, whew.
Thank
you know
God
what I mean?
for, because we have Festus in here. Thank God for Google Translate.
Yeah, right. Dude. Oh man, I already thought. Yeah,
Make sure that you have a portable charger. You're
exactly,
good.
Exactly.
Just let your phone die.
Yeah. I'll find my way home somehow. Yeah.
So what's the overall message? Let's say if you had a message, or if you have a message, what's the overall message that you want to give the people?
My overall message that I want to give the people. It's probably directly attached to I notice a lot of people when they get into fitness, they get very enveloped in it. You know what I mean? They let it consume their lives, and I've I've let it consume my life before, especially when I was competing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, like right now, I'm in this period of life where I'm just all about human connection. You know what I mean? Like you and I creating this connection, you and I creating this human connection. Like to me, human connection is something that just I realize like. For example, like I went and got my haircut like 3 weeks ago, and I never met this guy in a day in my life, dude. The connection we created just talking about life and fitness and foods and things like that. I mean, it made me cry. You know what I mean? So I was like, I've been missing out on this. I've been missing out on this.
So would you say that it's scarce now?
Human connection?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. So
and that's why, like, it's funny, like, as many things as we have in common, just sitting here, you know, having, like, our first, like, official real conversation, it's insane. It's insane how that goes. And you grew up in the 90s, you know, of course. Of course. So we remember.
Yeah, we're putting our bikes in our friends' yards, you know what I mean? Things like that.
We remember.
Yeah.
We remember what life was really like.
Well, and that's like, dude, that's why, like, lately I'm kind of at this point where I realized I'm being much more choosy about what I choose to spend my money on, because I don't want to spend my money going to the same bars in Los Angeles every single weekend, meeting the same people.
Same type of people, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make actual, like, let's go hike Yosemite, you know what I mean? Like, let's go to take a random flight somewhere or something like that. Like, I want human connection, man. Like, I want to create memories that I'm actually going to remember. Yeah.
I couldn't, like, when you're going out every single weekend, I ask you what you did 4 weekends ago, you can't remember it. I mean, when I was going out every single weekend, you asked me, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's all about creating that human connection. But for me, like, I want to educate my clients so that they can be self-sufficient. And for me, it's allowing fitness to improve their lives, enhance their lives, not consume it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being able to not degrade yourself for eating a freaking cookie.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Things
Very
like
true.
that. Using fitness just to allow you to play with your kids or have the energy to get, not just get through the day, but to dominate the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like eating in a way that allows you to dominate the day. Like you don't need to rely on coffee. There's nothing worse like
That's true.
feeling like your mood or your energy, like you need it. Exactly. Like you were like people, dude, I remember like I used to do coffee in the morning. I'd do a Celsius mid-afternoon or a Monster, and then I'd do another coffee. Like there's nothing worse like feeling like you need to get through the day using these external things. Like, nah, screw that, man. I'm my own damn person. I'm going to do what I, you know what? I don't need any of that. That stuff helps me.
Yeah.
But I can cut it out just as easily.
That's
you know
very
what
true.
I mean?
That's how I am.
Kind of like me. Like my mom's the same way, man. It's from a song. There's nothing sexier than a woman that wants but doesn't need you. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah, she wants you, but she doesn't need you. She doesn't need you.
And it makes
you know
her
what
more,
I mean? Yeah.
It makes her more not valuable. It makes her more attractive.
Yeah, exactly, because she's independent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's independent. So for me, that's the same thing. Like I want something, but I don't need it to get through my day.
That's true.
I want coffee. I enjoy coffee. You know what I mean? But I don't need it to get through my day. I don't feel like it's going to determine whether I have a good day or not. I'm not going to walk into a meeting or something like that or this podcast and be like, oh man, I didn't have my caffeine. I'm screwed. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's nothing worse than that. Like you are your own person. You don't need anything. All you need is you need human connection. You need food, water, and sleep.
Yeah,
I needed to hear that. I'm gonna stop coffee right now.
So really quick, I was just thinking about this. Have you noticed that we are the only species on the planet that wear shoes?
Yes.
You notice that? And and like shoes are mostly, or at least the bottom of our shoes are mostly made of what? Rubber, which is the deconductor of electricity. Think about that. In the center of the earth is supposed to be electromagnetic.
Yeah.
If in fact it is. Which, let's just say that it is.
Yeah.
So would you say that we have a disconnection with the earth?
Ooh, that's interesting, dude.
Think about that.
See, I'm big into, Aubrey Marcus from On It.
Yeah, big time.
That's my guy crush, man. That's my guy crush. Yeah. That's my guy crush, man. I love everything that dude is about. And I know he's big on using the earth. You know what I mean? The guy just went down. I saw his documentary. Just went down to Peru, just using his I think it's like he uses like shroom tech and things like that.
Yeah.
And just using the earth, using what the earth provides us instead of making it synthetically or something like that. You know what I mean?
I drink that mushroom coffee stuff too. I don't know if you had that.
Yeah, Forcing-matic.
Yeah, Forcing-matic.
Yeah, so I tried it and I felt like, to be honest, I felt like they ground up mushrooms and put it in coffee, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. I need some MCT oil or something like that. But I drank it black. You know what I mean? So maybe if I had a little bit of stevia or a little bit, I use like the flavored MCT oil, the emulsified MCT oil from On It.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. But yeah, dude, that guy's blowing up, dude. Everybody's all about Forcing-matic right now. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like, you'll get a lot of coaches and trainers that will be like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Okay, it may not work physically, okay? So it may not cause a scientific, something, whatever, in the body. You know what I mean? Like, it may not have a huge impact. The probiotics kombucha may not have this huge impact on your gut health. But what I'm thinking is cognitively, does that put you in a position to make better decisions down the line?
Like a placebo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if they want that 30-calorie kombucha with 8 grams of sugar in it, and that allows them, they're like, you know what, I had this healthy kombucha. Woo, I'm feeling myself. You know what, later, instead of having the pizza, I'm gonna have the chicken salad with some good olive oil, get some good omega-3s in there. I'm gonna have my fish oil. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Does that set you up cognitively to make better decisions? Then have the kombucha. I don't care. You know what I mean? As long as it's not like an 1,000-calorie acai bowl, then we're good. Like, you do you. You know what I mean? So,
and it's funny because I was talking to I talked to a couple of people about that, and like lately, like I've been craving like greens. Like I eat like a lot of greens and just like healthy stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, in a sense, it's almost like my spirit is asking to eat this specific type of food. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how that works.
That's simply an idea of, just having more respect for your body and aligning your goals with the way you eat. You know what I mean? Like,
true. I never thought about it.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of like the keto diet right now is blowing up. I mean, dude, we actually don't need carbohydrates to function. They help us. Like, if I'm putting on muscle, eating carbohydrates is going to help me put on muscle a lot quicker than eating a keto diet will. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I'm doing CrossFit, carbohydrates are going to be great. If I'm an ultra endurance athlete, carbohydrates are going to be great. But if I'm just a general population client, I'm just going for cognitive functioning. I want to be able to get through the day, feel good. I don't want to be cloudy up in my brain, things like that. And you know what? I'm okay if I'm not going to grow as much muscle as humanly possible because that's not my goal. Yeah. Then you don't need as many carbohydrates as most people think.
Which is true. Yeah, because I was going to get into that because, he knows what I do. Yeah. I love keto. And I discovered keto back in December. And, it has great benefits, at least to me. It helped me cut weight. I lost about 20 pounds in 2 months. Yeah. So the question, since you're familiar with keto, I'm sure, is that great for use for long term, or that's something you should be like cycling through off and on?
So to me, I define a diet should be something you can maintain long term. Okay, so this should be, for me, I did keto, but I wasn't able to maintain it for the long term, so it wasn't for me. So I do a type of athletic keto. So when I say that, I eat carbohydrates on my days I train, and I don't eat carbohydrates on the days I don't train.
That makes sense.
So when I refer to carbohydrates, I'm thinking of your dense carbohydrates, your potatoes, your rice, things like that. You know what I mean? So on the days I train, I train clients till from 6 to 11, usually do about 5 straight. Go home and I'll eat a big high fatty meal full of a ton of veggies, always greens, whether it be kale, spinach, broccoli, something like that. but I won't have any carbohydrates, okay? Because especially if I train the previous day, I already got plenty of glucose to use in my body. I'm not trying to get to this insane CrossFit Games performance. I'm not trying to get insanely big. You know what I mean? I just want to stay lean. I want to I want to perform at a high level cognitively, and I want to look the part.
Yeah.
So then I'll go train. I got plenty of glucose from the day before if I trained to work off of. And then after my workout, then I'll have the carbohydrates. So I'll have like blueberries, I'll have like blueberries in my shake, but only 3/4 of cups of that is like 17 grams of carbs. Probably 6 grams of that is fiber.
Yeah.
Have some chia seeds, have some cacao nibs. Again, that's a lot of fiber. Spinach, again, fiber. So usually in my dinner, that's when I'll have some like complex carbohydrates. So that's going to be your things like I love sweet potatoes, stuff like that. And the reason I do that is because, when it comes to like, everybody uses the GI index and things like that. Honestly, unless you're diabetic, that's not really going to pertain too much to you.
True.
So everybody's like, high glycemic, but unless you're diabetic, it's not going to apply too much to you. But those lower GI carbohydrate sources, like your sweet potatoes, actually are proven to help you release more serotonin. And serotonin is a calming hormone. So I'm going to eat I always have my last meal about 2 hours before bed. Otherwise, it's going to take you a little longer to fall asleep because your body's having to digest all this food.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll have some carbohydrates in my last meal on days I train because it helps release serotonin. So that calming effect, you know what I mean? And then I'll usually follow that up with like some bone broth or something like that. Something hot, kind of, get me back down, prepare me for bed. But then on days I don't train, it's just all veggies. You know what I mean? All veggies.
Yeah, that's how it's been for me lately.
Yeah. And also you also vary your calorie content. So if I have pretty much the same thing every day, but on days I train, all I'm doing is adding in carbohydrates, then I'm eating more calories to supply my training, to fuel my training intensity that I need. You know what I mean? I train like usually 4 days a week. If I can get in a 5th day, because I'm like really feeling it, I will, and that'll just be like a free day. I'm coming in, I want to do some like active recovery or something like that. I want to swing a sledgehammer. I want to do some kettlebell flow. I mean, it's always just a free day. But for me, like a diet should be something you can maintain for the long term. So if you want to do, if it fits your macros and you feel like you can feel like you can do that, you can measure all your food, you do you. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, oh, that's not maintainable. Okay, well, there's a million different personalities in this world. So what's to say what's maintainable?
That's very true.
It's individualized to every single person. Keto works for you, great. Whole30 works for you, great. Paleo works for you, great. Keto works for you, great. There's a million different ways to eat. You know what I mean? It's all about just finding out what can you maintain. Now, that's not to say that I don't have the occasional day where I don't train and I'm like, burger and fries sounds pretty good right now. You know what I mean? Burger, fries, and beer sounds pretty good right now.
Which is still good because, calories are not bad.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying like, I'm definitely not one of these people. If you ask any of my clients, man, they're always like, sometimes I wonder why I ask diet advice or why I take diet advice from you. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can get away, and I will. I admit, I can get away with more than the average person.
For sure.
But I don't actively try to. That's no longer my mindset. When I was competing, it was always about. A lot of times, people fall into this this pitfall of what can I get away with. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're eating like an asshole more than you're not.
It's very
you know what
true.
I mean? So, like, there's this idea I posted. I don't know if you saw it the other day. Like, you can out-train a bad diet. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You can. You look at ultra endurance athletes. You can out-train a bad diet. It would just suck to try and do so.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to do that?
React to that.
Yeah. Like, who wants to do that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It
Like
makes
that's
it a lot harder.
Yeah. Dude,
Like
you look at
double the work.
ultra endurance athletes. I mean, there's female athletes taking in 7,000 calories a day. I don't know if you guys seen Ashley Horner and what she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, the 30 Ironmans in 30 days, I believe it is. I mean, that woman's a badass. She is a badass. She's taking in like 7,000 calories a day. She needs that. She needs all that glucose. Her body is using so much fuel, and it's so efficient right now. You know what I mean? So like you can out-train a bad diet. I mean, you look at athletes and things like that, but it would just, it would suck to do so, but, and sometimes you can't in this tournament. I mean, you look at like, I love Baron Davis representing for the city of Charlotte.
BD.
But my man, back when my boy was playing for Charlotte, he balled out. You know what I mean? But don't let him. It's kind of like Tom Brady. Don't let him take. He's got a little
Tom Brady,
dad bod, the GOAT. Happy birthday,
Shirt on, man.
You ever seen his pictures from his combine days, man?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was ready.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, it's funny how you mention that. In our industry or in what we do, how important is it to look the part?
You need to. 100%.
Absolutely.
Never. Never. They say, so here's the difference. When it comes to training general population, it is just as much about aesthetics as it is performance. And a lot of time it's going to be more about aesthetics than performance. Occasionally you will get clients that, I don't care what I look like, but it's hard to trust a chubby trainer. You know what I mean?
True.
Like they do. They need to. You don't need to be jacked, ripped, having veins coming out your nose holes. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, you need to look like you work out. Now, if you are in the strength and conditioning world, if you'll notice, a lot of those strength coaches, they're big, burly guys. If you're in that powerlifting realm of things, because that's not your goal. Your goal is strictly performance. You're teaching people to be strong. You're teaching people to be fast. It's strictly on performance. It's not, the focus isn't, it's kind of like, you ever seen Varsity Blues where the guys are flexing and he's like, I don't give a damn about your muscles, blah, blah, blah. Because you don't. It's kind of like with CrossFit, like Jason Phillips, IN3 Nutrition put out a post the other day. Like when you enter in CrossFit, if you're trying to go to the games, you enter the idea that you're going to eat to fuel your performance, not to have abs.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? So, but when you are a trainer and you're training general population clients, or even if I see these huge bodybuilders, with these huge GH guts, things like that.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Like
bulking.
Exactly. Like you need to look the part. You know what I mean? Your clients need to look at you. Don't talk about it, be about it. They need to look at you and be like, okay, this person walks the walk and talks the talk. But you get these clients, you get these people where their guts are hanging out of their shorts, or not. Well, sometimes they're shorts. You get where their guts are hanging out of their shirts and things like that. That's not inspirational. And a lot of times, those people, those trainers, are also the people that, frankly, just don't give a damn.
Yeah, big time.
You know what I mean? They don't care. And a lot of times those people aren't coaching because they love it. They're coaching because they got an overnight certification.
They think
somebody decided to hire them.
Yeah.
Somebody decided to hire them. You know what I mean? That's ultimately what my goal is with the online coaching platform is to eventually scale to the point that I can begin hiring coaches, mentoring them, teaching them, and that way, instead of me affecting 10 clients online or 20 clients online, I can get 2 coaches and affect 40, 20, 40 people. Exactly. And that's the ultimate goal, is to raise the standards, raise the standards of coaching. There's a difference between a coach and a trainer.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you ended it with that. How many times have I said that? For years. It's 2 different. It's not even on the same page. Literally, it's not even in the same book.
Come to think of it,
it's
we
2
had
different things.
Season 1, coaches.
And it was actually detailed. It was all about that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I mean, we're going through the same thing.
Dude, it's in every industry.
It's in every industry.
Every industry,
it really is.
It's in every industry. You can tell. It's kind of like I can tell somebody's passion just by watching them.
Very
true.
What
I mean? I can look at you. If you're a trainer and your client's down there in a plank and you're standing up, why are you standing up? Get down there and, get down there in the trenches with them. Look, I'm with you. It's you and I. Like, that's always my clients. How are we doing today? Hey, right now we're going to go, we got kettlebell swings. We.
And it's funny.
Like, it's
I have
you and
clients to where, like, it's just like, of course, it's all fun and games, but they'll say we. I'm the one doing the work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm here with you. We're a team, though,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
If I'm the coach, then you're the player.
Exactly. Like
but that's so funny, though. Like, I love that, though.
Yeah.
I love every single one of my clients. They've changed my life big time.
Oh, dude. I mean, our clients affect us. more. I mean, I've been with most of my clients. Probably my client, the one I've had the least amount of time, is probably 8 or 9 months. The rest of them are over.
That's great.
Over 2 years.
Yeah.
And you get to the point. You know what I mean? Like they just these are people. These are people you genuinely feel for and you care about. Like you want them to. I had to. For example, I had a client. We went and grabbed lunch the other day because he's just, he'd been showing up to sessions and his memory was real foggy and things like that. And we weren't making as many gains and things like that. And I knew it was just because, he's in business and part of business is drinking. You know what I mean? So I had to, we went to breakfast and we had to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like things, can't be letting this because, I've seen, his father had just died. His father had just died. So, I saw a trend coming that I wanted to stop in its tracks.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to let that happen. So let's go grab lunch and let's talk about, and it's just this idea of being aware.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because if you're aware, you no longer have an excuse.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? If you're aware and you keep eating,
you have to face yourself.
Yeah. Like that's you living with yourself. Now, if if you are aware, you no longer have any excuses.
Very true.
And sometimes that's the boot in the ass you need. You know what I mean?
Big time. That's the perfect note to end it on.
Yeah.
So guys, this has been another episode of Great Fire Podcast. I'm your host, Trey Bate, aka Trey Bate Knows Boxing.
And I am Willie Mack.
With our very, very, very special guest, Josh Clay.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So guys, this has been the season finale of season 3. We'll see you in season 4.